The community is hot right now in Marvel Strike Force. There's a bunch of issues in the game right now. And in this video, I'm discussing them all in hopes that Scopely does listen and can implement some of these changes for the better. But I think all of these things boil down to one main issue that I'm going to discuss as well. And I don't want to be too negative in this video without offering any solutions. So I'm going to give my thoughts on what needs to be changed to bring some fun back to Marvel Strike Force. And if you're ready for that, Valley Maniacs, then you know what to do. Find that like button and let's go smash it.
ValleyFlyin.
Hello. What is up, Valley Maniacs? I am ValleyFlyin. Welcome back to the ValleyFlyin channel. Hope you're having a great day. In this video, we are discussing some of the issues that are going on in Marvel Strike Force right now. Apocalypse is in the game. Many players were shooting for that as their big chase because of the devs, the way they've been running this game. And we're gonna discuss some of the issues right now, some of the ways that I think we can fix some of these issues. But before we get to all of that, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button for more great Marvel Strike Force content. We're covering this game, whether it's in a good state or bad state, providing the best content for you to help you with your Marvel Strike Force experience. But I did want to talk about some of the issues going on in the game right now. And the number one thing I think the community is hot right now about is this changes to Crucible. And everywhere I'm looking, the YouTube comments, Reddit, the Discord, even the chat on Twitch is very upset about this change to Cosmic Crucible, this creeping spiders room, adding the Eternals to the Tangled Web. This room just doesn't make too much sense. And the reason this is upsetting the community is that we used to be able to counter this Tangled Web team with our Masters of Evil, which was billed as the big bad team for Cosmic Crucible. Every time they talk about the Masters of Evil, they mention Quicksilver and how important Quicksilver is going to be and how important the Masters of Evil is towards Cosmic Crucible and unlocking Quicksilver. But now with this new room bonus, without the Masters of Evil fully in the game yet, if you're a free-to-play player, you don't have those Masters of Evil unless you're really grinding through this Moonstone event. But as these rooms were changed last week, nobody that was free-to-play did have Moonstone in their account. So these changes went live before even this Masters of Evil team went in. So this was one of the big things that's upsetting the community. Teams that are out of the meta very quickly. Now, this is not a new thing for Scopely. They've always created a problem, sold us a solution. The reason this is different is the solution is not even out in the game yet for free to play before they've switched this. Now, they didn't specifically say that this was for this Tangled Web room. It looks like the new Warriors are the solution for this room, but they were billed as the Cosmic Crucible team, and that's where I think the disconnect comes from. Now, the Masters of Evil, they still are reliably able to take out the Wakandans in room 6, but room 5, Tangled Web, now that it has the Eternals, not a very good thing. Now, the other thing that I think the community is upset about, and this started last year with our chase for Apocalypse, and that is all our force teams, and one of that is the road to Apocalypse. Everyone has to build these horsemen teams. Everyone has to build these original characters teams if you want to get Apocalypse. And this is different than we've had in the past, different than we've had with Dark Dimension, where we've had to build certain characters, or we could go with cheaper characters that are not as good. So we had the option of picking good characters to bring into Dark Dimension, or we could bring bad characters that were cheap to get us into that node sooner. This was our option, and now with this road to Apocalypse, that has changed. So I think some of these force team that we had to build, especially with the chase to Apocalypse, does not feel good. It also does not feel good for some of these events. One of these recent events was to build Captain America, and it didn't feel good because not everybody had that character, had access to that character. I know it was kind of a bonus to people that bought the character, but it still doesn't feel good when there's these milestones in the game and then we're not able to complete them. So some of these force requirements, force building teams, I mean, even in the event going on right now for these in Cosmic Crucible using those Master of Evil, you're forced to build them up to gear 16 if you want to get the maximum points for this event. So that is another one of these issues, is these force requirements, force building teams, and not giving us as much choice as we had in the past. I mean, I think a lot of that started with Shield back in year one. We've had a lot of mixed match teams, and we could have a lot of theory crafting before Shield, but since Shield, Brotherhood, Defenders, we've had a lot of these cookie cutter teams, and I think that limits the choice. So hopefully they could bring some of these back. Now, another thing that's been here since year one is a lot of these issues. This is the current support section for the Scopely website. This was just updated 44 minutes ago. Let's talk about some of the bugs in the game right now. These are still not fixed. So Pocket Dimension last no rewards for Agent Venom shards. They used to have other shards that were sent out in the first few minutes of that, and I'm not sure if that's still corrected. We have some offer issues, more offer issues, Luck of Spring. Clover's delayed, a lot of scoring issues. So I think a lot of things is bugs, things that are broken on arrival. And one of the things that was broken on arrival in conjunction with these new rooms in Cosmic Crucible is that a fifth person, even if they don't have the Tangled Web or the Eternal Tag, are still getting that revived ones. That's one of the examples of these bugs. Here's more examples. Another example is that calendar that always pops up. It's supposed to pop up once you open the game, but every time I open a game, it seems like I get that calendar popping up. So another bug that needs to be fixed, needs to be looked at, and at least addressed for the community. Some things broken on arrival. More testing, I think, is going to help, and more testing on characters as well, not just these events. If you look at this Apocalypse, back on March 15th is when we got some changes to the kit. If you look at the weekly blog when we had his kit announced back on January 27th. So from January 27th to this time, they had no testing, and they didn't know how bad he was, or I guess maybe they didn't want the character to be very good or just kind of mediocre. And then as released, the community is hot because of all the chase that we had to do. So a lot of these problems are compounding on top of each other. So the chase with Apocalypse and him not very good, but I think a lot of that would be fixed with testing, more testing. All these issues, or a lot of these issues, could be fixed by more testing. Same thing with Apocalypse. Knowing how insignificant he was in Arena in some of these other game modes on release should have been known by the devs of, and to make us chase for that long without having a big grand prize, make it feel worth it, does not feel good. So more testing would have helped a lot of that. Let's talk about these complicated events. Right now in the game, we have two events going on right now. One of them, you need to spend some ISO 8 campaigning energy, earning Blitz credits. If we go into the game right now, we'll see that there are two events running. One, you need to spend some ISO 8 energy, earning Blitz credits, so using a lot. And we have this new limit system, which was supposed to make these events a lot less complicated, but it hasn't really done that. This was a little more easy to figure out. Spending campaign energy, alliance credits, a lot of complicated things going on right now, a lot of things to hoard right now. I think making these a lot more simple would help them. And let's talk about these milestone events, because I think it's kind of the norm that we're not able to finish these. And that is something new starting in year 4. The previous 3 years in this game, all these milestones, we were able to finish every single one if we were putting in the time to grind, or we were a longer time player. That has changed significantly last year. Back in 2022, milestones were not completable, and it doesn't feel good for the average player. It doesn't feel good for me, someone that's been grinding in this game for a while, not being able to complete these milestones. So I think if they go back and switch some of these, I know this is a money-making tactic for them, but if they make money other ways, I think they could not piss off the players as much. So getting milestones that we can finish and not making them as complicated, using this limit system more effectively. Initially, this limit system was supposed to make these events less complicated, and I thought what they would do is kind of limit the hoarding, having these events be more based on gameplay rather than encourage hoarding, stockpiling, using these Masters of Evil. It's okay, but some of these events like this one, the Luck of Spring, were Blitz credits, earning alliance credits, campaign energy, things like that. Hoarding a lot of these power cores for this charging station, hoarding some of our claims for this Moonstone event, the To the Moon event with his Blitz credits here. So trying to earn some of these Blitz credits, well, you could have done that in some of the past things and save some of your rewards, saving some of your energy. Eliminating a lot of this hoarding would be good, and using this limit system the way it was introduced to us, making it so that it would eliminate this hoarding, we can start to spend some of these resources that we have. Let's talk about some of the bottlenecks that we have here in the game and some of the useless resources that need to be updated. So some of the big bottlenecks here obviously are going to be gold. Gold has been scarce for a long time, training mats as well, and usually it's been, or for the longest time it's been, either players are either short on gold or training mats, not on both. But with all these teams that we've had to build recently, I'm short on both. And let's talk about these bottlenecks. One of the big things here with these bottlenecks is they've done level cap increases and not increase these challenges. I mean, if we look at the challenges, the amount of gold that we're getting per day, with both of these level caps trying to bring up characters, it's just not enough gold for the average player. Unless you're spending a ton of money in this game, it's very hard to build up the characters that you need. Same thing with these training day rewards, these training mats. These characters are very expensive, take a lot of gold, training mats, and none of these challenges have, well, one of them, but most of these challenges have not been updated at all since back in level 85 level cap increase. So we are currently now in the level 95 level cap increase. So that is over 2 level caps that we've had almost no change to any of these resources. A lot of other characters introduced, a lot more gold that we need to spend to get these characters up, a lot more gear that we need to get to spend these up. And if we look at these catalysts that change, I mean, this is so old. Look at this. We don't have any teal gear in this, which has been a major bottleneck for a while. So yeah, we need some updated challenges. We need some updated all of these bottlenecks, and characters like Agatha that have not been farmable for the longest time. Other characters that are unfarmable need to be made farmable a lot sooner. This is, after all, a hero collector game, and if we can't collect these characters, then what are we doing here? Icarus still not farmable. Agatha still not farmable. There's a lot of other characters that are still not farmable that should be at this point. So that is one of these. We also have these outdated, or speaking of these outdated challenges and some of these farmability. There was a question on the mailbag earlier this week about these arena orbs. If they are outdated, they should be updated. Yeah, we got such outdated rewards in pretty much all of these older orbs, especially in these Greek raid orbs that just have not been updated in years. A lot of stuff is just so old, and it is leading to a lot of these bottlenecks, leading to hoarding. You know, this blue gear, have not opened that stuff in a while. I don't need any of that stuff. So just a lot of this unnecessary things that we get a lot of, and then some of the resources that we need just don't get enough of that. So updating a few things, and then let's talk about fixing things that didn't need to be fixed. One example here is this claim all button, and that has caused nothing but problems. That is not something, a feature that the community has asked for. Claiming all milestones is good, but I was not able to figure that out. And guys, if you did not see this claim all milestones, well, if you want to claim them all, well, you need to have your Alliance chat enabled. That is something that I usually don't have enabled, just because I don't want like weird things flashing over the screen as I'm recording video. So I normally have that off by default. But if you want to use the claim all button that they just did for your milestones, well, you're going to need to turn that on. So those are some of the issues going on in the game right now, causing players some anger, causing players to not have fun in the game. But how can this be fixed? Well, I think a lot of this comes from the biggest problem, in my opinion, in Marvel Strike Force, and that's not having a long-term plan, not just for monetization, but also for fun. Now, in 2021, I didn't think they have a plan at all. Not for monetization, not for fun. They're just introducing new game modes and thinking players would love it. Real-time arena was a massive failure. Most of the community hated it. And that is why we got a lot of attrition in 2021. 2022, I thought they did have a plan. The Apocalypse was a plan. We had these milestones introduced. Now, they did focus on the monetization, but they didn't really focus on the fun, because at the end of the day, these milestones that were uncompletable were not fun. These milestones, or building up certain characters that led us to less choice and more cookie cutter rosters, well, that was not fun. So having a plan that focuses on fun and monetization will, I think will help a lot, not just for the players, but also for Scopely, because obviously they are a for-profit company. They need to make their money. And I was speaking with a Scopely employee a while ago, and I was asking, why are these events getting so grindy for players, or unfriendly for free-to-play players? These milestones, we used to be able to complete them, now we can't. What is going on? And they had an interesting response. I wasn't expecting this response. They put it this way. They talked about how it was at their previous job. They didn't talk about anything about Scopely, so I don't feel bad disclosing this, but this person said, at my previous job, I had sales targets, and when I did not hit those targets, there were consequences. Got me thinking, maybe some of the problem is there's so much pressure on these sales targets, these numbers that these managers need to hit, or these event designers need to hit. Maybe they're under so much stress. They're like, all right, let's just throw this. We've done this before. This is very simple. Not taking that fun into account, and just taking account ways that players would spend based on certain events and just assuming that because there's an event in the game, players are going to spend on it. Well, for me, I spend on things that are fun. Well, what is going to be more fun in the game? Well, what is fun for me? Well, I like milestones that I could complete. And let me know what is fun for you in a game, because everybody has different things that are fun for them. And for me, milestones that I could complete are fun. I thought they would eliminate the hoarding with the limit system. So they do have that limit system in there, and they could stop encouraging hoarding. So we don't have to save all our mail. If we accidentally use that claim all button, which I think should be removed, by the way. But if we accidentally claim that button, it's not that big of a deal because hoarding all these resources aren't that important. So using that limit system correctly, but making these milestones that we could complete, I think are more important. And maybe not all of them, they still need to make their money, but maybe making the majority of these milestones completable, because for me, that does feel good. I do have that pride, a sense of pride and accomplishment when I complete these milestones. Next thing, removing these older bottlenecks, things like gold, training mass, things that we need a lot of, orange gear, that should be readily available. And now we're into these gear 16, 17 bottlenecks. Well, 17 is the major bottleneck now, so a lot of this ease should be on these gear 16 pieces, in my opinion. So removing some of the old bottlenecks and then focusing on fun. So what is fun? Well, for me, like I said, completing the milestones is fun. Playing Crucible is fun. So changing rules in the middle of a trial, in the middle of a season, doesn't feel good. Adding this Eternals to the Tangled Web just seems very, very lazy. It's like people were using the Masters of Evil on a Tangled Web, and the devs were like, oh, you're not supposed to use it on them. You're supposed to only use it on Wakandans. Let's add these Eternals there to make it harder for you. So let's take out some of the bad things in Crucible. Don't make it the changes without notice. Give us a little bit of notice before these changes are made so we can plan and do different things, and not make it as limited when you're introducing new teams. Give them time to breathe before you start taking them out of the meta. Milestones based on battling or winning in certain game modes with certain teams or traits, I think they are good, unless it's like a new team, like the Rebirth team and Invader team, which we have data mines about, an event for them coming up, which we need them at high gear levels in raids. That kind of stuff is not good, but just battling with other characters, certain teams, and certain game modes is a good thing. So there needs to be a balance, as long as it's not too grindy. But again, using that limit system can help with this stuff. So that is what I think is fun for me. But again, this is just subjective. Your definition of fun may be significantly different minds and vice versa. So let me know what your definition of fun, what you want to see change, and what you think is the biggest problem in the game. For me, I think it's the plan, but in your opinion, it might be something else. Let me know in the comments, guys. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Hopefully people from Scopely are watching this and we get some change implemented in Marvel Strike Force very soon, because the players, the community, we need it. Hopefully you like this video, guys. Check me out on social media. If you did, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Marvel Strike Force content, I will see you guys next time. If you want to support the channel, check out some other videos. Hulk fist bump. Have a great day, guys. ValleyFlyin out.